Albert. Karen says she dropped John off there for a get-together. During your first discussions with Karen, did she believe she may have hit John?
No. She felt she struck something. She said, Dad, I think I struck something. I said, what do you mean? Right? This was in the hospital. Right? She says, I remember, all right, backing up and hitting something.
Police find damage to the passenger side taillight of Karen's Lexus LX 570. How the damage...
Then Hank Brennan put up this photo and I broke into tears. How heartbreaking. And here's a photo of him during closing. I thought this was interesting with him and Lolly. May she be found guilty for justice for John O'Keefe.
GetLoveDreamingBeach.com.
It's actually 2 a.m. And I thought, you know what? I want to make this little quick thought. Because it's the second time that I'm having it and I forgot to record it the first time. Which is to say, some people fucking hate to see a white woman held accountable for her own actions. You heard that? Some people, white people, fucking hate. They fucking hate to see a white woman held accountable for her fucking own actions. Don't matter if it's against another white person, I guess. A white cop. The fucking psychotic derangement. It's outright evil, in my opinion. It's not just a matter of, oh, reasonable doubt, or oh, it's just your opinion, my opinion. To me, clinging to this idea that Karen Reed is innocent and being framed is criminal. Because now you're crossing into the line of actually harming innocent people. And it just makes no sense. It's just so disturbing. Because really, it's a grift. And all of these people, from the lawyers I used to respect, to the fucking losers I never met who were like writing on my page, like one person was like, you lost me. Like, who the fuck are you? I have no idea. Go delete. But some of them I left because, like I said, that video I wanted to be like a teaching video for people to be like, this is some psycho shit that people, like, I used to actually get upset about random negative comments, and this has taught me so much. Anyway, I gotta go to bed. I wanted to capture that again. So I just thought, do I want to continue this video I started last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, nah, I'm too tired. But then I thought, what the hell? Maybe I can just make a real short one. Just gonna grab my blankets as it's getting chilly. So I could use it to warm up. Please hold. So let's see, this is my leftover bowl of broccoli. Just move that out the way. Oh yeah, I was gonna light an incense. This is like my newest favorite incense, Sea Witch. So a little bit ago, I was listening to a new YouTube channel that I recently found called Prosecutors Podcast. Only listened to a couple of videos. I do like what I've heard so far. They believe Karen Reed is guilty, like I know she is. And it's refreshing to hear someone being honest. And let me just put that there. Funny, the lawyer they had on, the defense attorney they had on, the one I was watching, mentioned a lawyer on YouTube, a civil defense attorney who often talks with his dad, who has basically exactly what I've been saying, jumped on the bandwagon of the FKR people, and it's really hard to watch, which is why I no longer watch. And, you know, he said the same thing I said, that maybe it's because he doesn't want to get attacked by all of the people on his stream, and there's like a precarious balance. Like, I don't have to worry about that. I have such a small following that for the most part, the few people who found my stuff do tend to be people who believe that Karen is guilty. However, there was just a long ass ridiculous comment left earlier or yesterday. But luckily they've died down, and I just catch a stray here or there. But when you've got 500,000 followers, it can get pretty hairy, I would imagine. So I'm glad I'm not in that position. However, I don't think I ever would be in that position, because I do speak on what I find to be the truth, which, excuse me, reaching for my little remote. Let me see if I should turn this on. Sometimes when it's late, I can't get it lower, and then it hurts my eyes. I care more about having integrity and speaking on what I perceive as true, even if it's unpopular. And I often speak about things that I believe is unpopular, such as being willing to do the hard work of being a self-reflective, introspective person, learning to discern, being honest with yourself, looking at the issues and the problems in your life from the perspective of, what am I doing that's leading to this? What are my unseen beliefs or unhealed traumas, or unseen unhealed traumas that's fueling my behavior that I'm not even aware of? Something I learned 10 or 11 years ago when I was reading Catherine Woodward Thomas's book, Conscious Uncoupling, which I discovered and actually used as the process to break up with my baby's daddy. And I found her and discovered her, and even went into the city to see her, and sat there enthralled with her in a room with 30 people while she talked, and then got her to sign the book I bought, and we have the same name and first name, and it was very cool, and a very painful but needed experience. And in that experience, I learned through her book and her teaching that in every situation when there's problems, let's be excessively generous and say the other person is 97% the problem, and you are 3% of the problem. However, what she taught, which I now have tried to live, I try to aspire to this, which is, you take that 3% that's your problem, your doing, your cause, your part in this mess, and you blow that up to the 100% of what you need to worry about, what you need to focus on. That's your curriculum for your own growth. That's the area of your focus. That's where you have some influence and impact to change the circumstance. And even if you need to leave the circumstance, change it, like me and my baby's daddy, we lived together. We'd been living together for 7 years or 6 years. We've been together for 7. We decided to consciously uncouple, and we had 2 babies, and we lived together, and we were financially tied together closely. And so we lived together as roommates for an entire year, trying to figure out what to do. We went to a mediator to help us transition out of the situation we were in into a new situation where we could both be independent co-parents and not be romantic, and to do so in a way while maintaining civility. And so me and my baby daddy, we were high school sweethearts, and we broke up for many years, but we always maintained some kind of like friends with benefits and, at a distance. And then we got back together, and we were together for a long time, and we had 2 children, but we never got engaged. We never got married. And when we decided it was time to accept that we're really not compatible, we're not a good romantic couple, but we've got these kids who we love, and we love and respect each other, even though we don't want to be together romantically. And what Catherine Woodward Thomas's book, Conscious Uncoupling, is all about is how to break up in a way where you both care about the best case scenario for yourselves and children if they're involved, and for the extended family and friends, instead of what most people do, which is to completely villainize the other person, blame, 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 attack, destroy, rip apart. And of course, not all couples do that when they break up, but many do that. And my point is that my focus in this channel in particular, and in my life, always is usually the least popular opinion, the least popular topic, which is like not the gossip and the rumors and the salacious and the tear somebody down and the just spread, the most outlandish stuff, and to talk about things in a way that get people all like upset and like, mud flinging, but to be real, to be respectful, to be deeply honest, even if that's an inconvenient truth, or something about yourself that you don't want to see, you don't want to admit, you don't want to acknowledge. But when you want to grow sincerely and genuinely, and when you want, instead of a lose situation, or I win, you lose, and you're looking for an actual win, that's a lot harder to do. It's a lot less popular. And so when I started my YouTube channel, I kind of already accepted I'm not trying to go for big, huge numbers. I'm not making videos for people just so I could get likes or clicks or subscribers or go viral. I'm just making content that I find meaningful to myself, that I personally am benefiting from the making of it. Like, I like to talk about certain topics that interest me because it's a type of therapy to think about it, to investigate it, to watch it, to talk about it. And I don't have anybody in my life to like have these chats with, so this is what I do. Anyway, the whole purpose of this long-winded about me thing is to say that I'm glad that I don't have to worry about maintaining huge numbers or trying to craft a narrative that is, like I was saying, being a fence humper, being afraid to take a stand that's unpopular, or being afraid to go against the astroturfing movement. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to speak what I think is the truth, whether the people in that jury room end up believing what I believe and they find her guilty on all 3 counts or on some of the counts, or they say, you know what, we don't think she's guilty, if she gets a hung jury, or if she gets, not guilty on all counts, ultimately it changes nothing for me. It's just the end of something I've been watching. Hopefully, what I'm hoping is that there will be a real resolution. What I'm hoping is that the people in the jury are not going to want to do a hung jury, because they're going to be like, okay, how much money can you waste? How much time and effort can you waste? She's already been through another trial. They know for a fact now that she's been through another trial. They know that the family has been through this. You know how hard that is? So while Karen Reed is out there waving and smiling and hang-tenning and woohoo, I'm in an ego bath, and her lawyers are waving, and I saw a clip earlier today from another angle. Maybe a lot of the videos I've been seeing, or maybe it was because it was the last day or something, but there was a lot more pink people out there. You know what? I think I am going to turn this off. Oh, hopefully it's okay. But anyway, that leads me to the point of this video, which is, I don't know how much of this is part of it, but I do kind of wonder if part of why this astroturfing campaign, which I do believe was paid for by Karen and her team, and obviously some of the GoFundMe stuff that she's been getting to push the lies about the witnesses and to generate and propagate and infiltrate and blow out the conspiracy theories. And the thing that's really sticking out to me, it seems like there's a certain group of people who just abso-fucking-lutely despise a white woman being held accountable for her own actions. For a white woman to have to bear the consequences of justice like any old regular schmegular non-white person would have to be held in a court of law and in a justice system, and to be sentenced appropriately for doing something that anybody else would have been killed or been thrown in prison years ago without a single person looking back except maybe their own personal people who love them. And the absolute imbalanced level of benefit of the doubt. These people are so willing to give this one woman the benefit of the doubt that they would say, I would discount every single piece of evidence and say that when I weigh the actual evidence against this white woman, I just can't. You got a white woman, a blonde white woman, a skinny size 0 fucking white woman, a rich bitch, blonde, white, skinny bitch, no ass, leaks poo, bitch. And then you got stacked with all the freaking evidence. The taillight pieces, the cracked taillight, in his clothes, yeah, the broken skull and the scratches and everything, the little piece of glass in his nose, her words, a lot of words, buffalo in the snow. I was looking to find him. I was expecting to find him on the side of the road. I found him right where I left him. Did I clip him? Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? I know I said I hit him, but did I say it as many times as they said I said it? And then you've got on the other side of the scale, conspiracies, lies, salacious rumors, conjecture, speculation, plot lines that are spun out of control, fan fiction, creative writing, bad creative writing, comic book level bullshit, absolute nonsense spewing. And they will say, white woman, evidence, rumors. Oh, I will believe all this shit. I would not ever want to see this woman held accountable. Can't stand to see her being held accountable. Set this poor woman free. What the fuck? Set this drunk driving murderer free? Why? What about all the fucking other white women that she's trying to destroy? Jen McCabe, it's you or me. The fuck? You know what the fuck? What the fuck is that this is a pandemic and an epidemic of lonely fucking losers. Cruel, heartless, racist, stupid, lonely, bored, willing to be in a cult susceptible, grifters. And you know what? I had some faith that she's definitely going to be held accountable. She's going to be found guilty. But seeing how utterly psychotic and unhinged some of these fuckers are. By the way, I think it's kind of funny that FKR looks like fucker. So I find it scary how demented some of these fuckers are. And I would find it believable, very believable, in fact, that one or two of them who might even be sane passing could slip through with an agenda and say, no matter the fuck what they do, say, or show with that in that courtroom, I am never going to vote guilty for this bitch. I saw, what was her name? Pam? Profiling with Pat Brown. She's another person who I actually do believe I've watched her a while ago. And she also knows and can see clearly that Karen Read is guilty. And she said something I had actually never really heard of, which I think on the surface, I understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, I can easily see where it could go wrong and become corrupt. And she was advocating for professional jurors. She says that she thinks that it's actually not justice to have, completely uneducated, my thread ripper. My thread ripper. Excuse me. She said she doesn't think it's actually justice to have people who may be completely uneducated in general, and or uneducated about a topic, to have to be the ultimate fact finder and decider. And she thinks that it would be better to have professional people who were trained. However, I think that as much as I see the merit in that, I also see how, in my opinion, ultimately it's a lot more corruptible when there's paid people who are like the people. It's a lot easier to get to pay them off. You always know who the jurors are. And they would be financially incentivized, like many of the expert witnesses who get paid, and they can be financially incentivized to say what you want them to say, whether or not it's true or, fair or even reasonable. So if you can, I am pushing back on her, even though she's not hearing me to defend herself, and she very well might have some reason to debate what I'm saying, but I think the very fact that paid experts can be bought off, and often are, and like in this case, you can see literally opposing experts, and so a juror has to decide which expert do you believe. And if you can pay off experts, you could certainly pay off jurors if they were financially incentivized, and there would be a lot smaller of a pool of jurors to pull from. Again, to me, leading to a lot more corruption and a lot less justice. However, while I don't have a solution, I also agree it is an imperfect system. On another note, with Justin Baldoni's cases being dismissed with prejudice on most counts, and a lot of people saying Judge Lyman is corrupt, Judge Lyman was bought off, or he's got conflict of interest, or this or that. And because of how much I like Justin and how much I feel it is an injustice what he did, I also know that to just automatically jump into believing that a judge is corrupt or he got paid off really truly undermines the system. And while the system may be irredeemable, similarly, like how I got into politics, kind of like a news junkie back in I guess like around 9/11. And after a while, I just started to realize, like, oh, they just lie. They just say whatever the fuck they want. They literally start wars on lies, like weapons of mass destruction, when we know it's a lie, and they just do it anyway, and then whoops, you know, after many people are dead. And then when Obama, who I still love him, when he signed the Dark Act, which was so that corporations making food, they do not have to disclose all the ingredients that they put in. And I was like, wow. And, you know, and the wars continued for a long time. And it's like, oh, you know, it's not like I got disenchanted from a particular person. I just realized this system is very corrupt, and it's big, and it's a machine, and there's not just one person. You know, it's like, oh, Obama won, and then he's kind of doing a lot of things that were done before. You know, then you see an absolute psychotic, authoritarian wannabe, tiny hand, narcissist, malignant narcissist, whack job, crash like a bull in a china shop cliche. And just, you know, it's like, wow, okay. The ones who just kind of went along with the machine, I mean, yeah, there was corruption there. There's no doubt about that. But my God, like, there's a difference between, yeah, well, there's some corruption here, but everything is, not everything, but a lot of things are operating, and people are generally happy and earning a living and la 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 la. And then you've got this motherfucker, like, wow. So anyway, this is kind of not just a like, oh, Karen Reed is guilty, and what the fuck, astroturfing, and she's a white fucking, a fucking blonde white lady getting all this, like, so much attention. And like, it was kind of like with Amber Heard. I would see headlines on mainstream media. Like, I would watch trial all day, and then the next morning or later that night, I would see a headline that was just literally a 180 of what was actually said or revealed in court. And I'm like, what? Like, these mainstream media news outlets, if loosely called that, these gossip, like, that's what they literally actually are, gossip talking rags. And they are cosplaying as journalists with integrity. And I just find it to be so disgusting how their systemic racism is so interwoven into everything in our society, even to the point where this fucking woman, to me, I've heard everything she said. Yeah, there's something I feel when I look at her. Like, I have humanity. I feel empathy for somebody being a human being. I can see, like, even with Hitler, I mean, I meant to say Trump. Even with Trump, like, seeing his pout when, you know, his birthday military parade seemed to not have that many people, obviously. And I feel sad because I just hate to see people suffer, even the ones who deserve it and brought it on themselves. Again, coming back to, as much as it's painful to see somebody going to prison, I also think what's much more painful is to see people getting away with doing terrible things. And I believe in people having to face the consequences of their own actions. Some people think karma is some kind of magical thing that happens, you know, can strike you or whatever. And I know that the best way to think about karma is just a very practical thing. It's just the consequences of your own actions. So in my mind, the consequences of drinking and driving and getting in a vehicle and being angry and somehow clipping your boyfriend, or maybe he was her fresh ex-boyfriend, we'll never know, and leaving him there to die, whether you thought he didn't look mortally wounded. You told your dad that you backed into something. You did hit something. He said that. why would he say that? Why does he pretend that he doesn't remember that he said that on a video? You told your attorney, David Yannetti, that night that, what if I hit him? I might have hit him. So my whole point is like, I despise seeing a world that is so split, such a dualistic existence. There's so much double standard in everything and every day. And as a white person who had the absolute gift, I've been raised by a black woman. My mom is a black woman. And so I've had a unique existence where I've had an ability to see things from more than one perspective growing up. And I see how different groups of people behave. And I see how the news handles things and how things get reported on. And when you see innocent, hardworking people of integrity being murdered every single day by so-called law enforcement, you see people getting away with murder, you see crimes happening, you see people who are innocent who call the cops for help, who reach out for help, and they get murdered. And then to see a woman like Karen Reed, who, to say, like I've heard a few of the other creators who recognize her guilt say it so simple and basic. It was a drunk driving hit and run. Whether she did it on purpose in that moment, like I just saw on YouTube a story, I think it's like a few months old, or I don't know if it's a few months or a couple of years. I think it's a few months old. But so there was this woman, a white woman, and I was going to say elderly. I don't think she was that elder. I think she was more like aged because of being alcoholic. So I only watched like a few minutes of the video. I fast forwarded. I was looking in the comments. Somebody had a comment that said her name. I Googled the name. Then I found out what happened. And then another person had a comment with like a little synopsis of the story. So I don't know if it's totally accurate because this is what I read in a comment. But basically the story was that this white couple, they were married, and I think they're in their 50s, and they were out with some friends and at a couple of bars, and they were asked to leave because they were too inebriated. And so the couple, I don't remember even her name or whatever, but Melissa, I think it was Melissa Howes. So Melissa Howes and her husband drove in their car, and they had one couple that I think they were with two couples, and then one of the couples followed them because they were concerned, like, you guys are drunk, you shouldn't be driving, please park your car and we'll just drive you home. And they were trying to go to a Dollar Tree or something, and they accidentally pulled into the parking lot of a gas station or something next to it, something like that. And so the friend, the husband, it was like a husband and a wife, the friends, and they were saying, I guess the husband said, listen, just leave your car, come on, get in my car and I'll take you guys home. Then Melissa's husband got mad at that and started to accuse the husband who was like, I'll give you guys a ride, that guy of having an affair with his wife, Melissa. And so they got mad. The couple who was trying to get them to get in the car to give them a ride home said whatever. They got mad and they drove away. And then that made Melissa so mad that she went and she pushed her husband down, and then she got back in the car. She backed the car up and ran the fuck over her husband. Then she didn't remember what the fuck happened. And then she was real drunk, and she was sitting on the sidewalk or whatever, crying about how did my husband get up under there, or some shit like that. And she was crying to the cops about, I don't know how he got under there. But then apparently there was some witnesses and shit, and they were like, girl, he got under there because you fucking pushed him. And then you backed the shit up and you ran over him. And now she did a plea deal, and she's going to jail for 20 years. Probably get parole in 10. What's my whole point? What was my point? Oh yeah, my point was that she was drunk as fuck, and she got really mad, and in her drunken anger, she got enraged. And in her drunken rage, she made several actions that resulted in the death of her husband, which from most of the comments afterward, it seemed, and from I saw the little clip of the video, I saw her sitting in the hospital, on the hospital bed, and the lady was trying to put something on her arm, and she was like, ah, my husband! Like, she was really actually devastated. And it said that she took a plea quickly because of the guilt that she felt, and she felt so terrible, and she felt like her life is destroyed now, and because she was in a drunken rage. My whole point is that whether Karen Reed was in a drunken rage, and at that moment she snapped when John O'Keefe decided to get out of her vehicle and go into the fucking party where the man that she had been trying to cheat on John with for the last 3 weeks was in the house. Well, actually not even 2 weeks, 12 days. And God knows what he had said to her. And like one, Pat Brown said, which was so funny to me because I had not seen that video, and I already made my videos where I said this exact same thing. What was the worst that would have happened if John O'Keefe went into that party and either knew because Karen had told him, and then John went to Brian and confronted Brian and was like, hey, you've been texting with Karen? Or John didn't say anything to Brian, and Brian approached John in the party and said, Karen's not here. Hey, by the way, what's up with that? Are you guys like open relationship? Are you dating other people? Because she's been reaching out to me, and I'd hit it if you quit it, but did you quit it? I don't know. Like, why would they fight? And then be like, and I think she seems a little strange, kind of unhinged. I don't know. Maybe you should break up with her. And then John would be like, I just did. We don't really know. I'm speculating, but I don't believe. I don't believe because Karen said in her own voice, even though in one video she said that he would never break up with her, and then there was another clip they played that she said he wasn't that passionate or something and about her, and she doesn't think it would be a big old fight. Oh, she said that he didn't know about her texting Higgins, and she think if he found out, it wouldn't be a big deal. He wouldn't get that mad. And the similar thing when you read or listen to somebody read Brian's texts with Karen, I think that there's like the logical, reasonable, sane-minded person who can be discerning, who can hear the whole thing, who can say, oh, she reached out to him first. She got his number behind his back. His first response was, how'd you get my number? And why? What do you want? Over the 9 days that they texted, which actually spanned across a 12-day period, because they didn't text every day, she repeatedly tried to get him to come to the house or to meet her somewhere or for her to go to his house, which she eventually did, even though he was trying really hard to kind of get her to get the hint to not come over, but she came over anyway. And from what he testified, it was very awkward. There was nothing physical. He didn't understand what was going on. He was trying to get her to be honest and tell the truth. Even when she asked him, what are you looking for? And he said, the real deal. And she said, doesn't exist. Like, you could tell from his responses to her, he wasn't that into her. Yeah, he said, you're hot and you're smart. You're hot and you're smart. But that wasn't enough. He didn't fuck her. He wasn't all over her. He wasn't like, please, please, please come over. Leave John. I want to be with you. It was the exact opposite. I thought you were done with texting. Yeah. And then he kills John? Because he thinks that him killing John is going to make her want to be with him? What? I don't want no drama, dude. Seriously. And that's the guy that, this is what I'm saying, the people who, there's the bots, the bot farms, they're not real people. They're just programmed robots, kind of like Nightbot. Looks like a real person. If you don't know it's a real person, you could think it's a real person. It's not a real person. And then the sock puppets. Those are not real people either. Although in the sense that it might be, well, it is. It's a real person who has made multiple accounts. It's not a real person in the sense that they are not being an authentic, genuine commenter who's lending authentic debate into this issue. They are campaigning for their agenda. It's like a paid advertisement. When you see a video, when you see a commercial or an ad, do you believe the things that the people are saying in the ad are the gospel truth? The wholesome, down-to-earth truth? You know, non-religious. Do you believe that the people in those commercials who are saying this is the best chicken sandwich I ever had are 100% talking authentically, or are they saying the script that they were paid to say? Same exact thing with sock puppet accounts. Now, sock puppet accounts could be run by somebody who falls into the third category, which is the cult, the people who drank the Kool-Aid, the real people who, they just post from their one account, but they also repeat the slogans, the taglines, the hashtags, the FKR, free Karen Reed, you know, and they just keep repeating the slogans that they've seen the bot farm and the sock puppet accounts repeating, and they often don't even know that those are not, that those are NPCs. Those are non-player characters. They're not real people back there. That's just a campaign running. And that's another thing that I'm learning, similar with the Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. It's getting hard to know what to believe. That's why I was talking about getting disillusioned with politics and realizing how corrupt it is. And I know the justice system is corrupt. It's literally was built like police were originally, you know, just meant to try to re-enslave people who had been enslaved, who had escaped. And in a lot of ways that still continues, you know, how anyone who's not pale can be murdered for almost nothing. And then here we have this fucking white, pale, blonde lady getting thousands of people who are willing to suspend all common sense. But, you know, many people live in this cognitive dissonance place. And, you know, being a racist or a bigot or any kind of prejudice almost always requires living in a double standard mindset where, you know, there's like one set of truth for one kind of people, and then there's this whole other set of rules that you apply, standards of evidence, you know, expectations, and it's just so obvious to me. And again, I can't say this is like a racial thing because everybody in this is white. Like, there's not a single person of color in this entire case, you know, not a single lawyer, not a single witness, not a single nothing. Like, there's a whole bunch of pale motherfuckers up in here. But my point is that the media, the people in the comments, the lawyers on YouTube who have latched on to this conspiracy theory, and they would literally suspend every reasonable, logical mind. It's like, I just cannot believe, I can't fathom. I'm just like, I can't drink the Kool-Aid. I cannot get my mind to wrap around itself so fucking tight that I could believe that this woman is innocent. And that's what's driving me into this like hysteria of like, is it just because she's a fucking white lady? Like that all these white people are willing to suspend their fucking brain to like believe there's no way that this white woman could have done it. I will literally believe that 70 people are co-conspiring to lie over believing that one white woman could have fucking got drunk and killed her boyfriend with her car when she was jealous and mad. It's easier for you to believe that 70 people are lying and co-conspiring than one fucking white bitch got drunk, got in her car, and got angry and fucking hit her man. Whether she knew it or not, it don't matter. She did it. She blamed other people. She tried to cover it up. She's still trying to cover it up. And the evidence is astounding against her. But my faith in the jury and their ability to do the right thing, which is to convict her of murder on all 3 counts and send her to prison, hopefully for at least 25 years. That I don't have faith in. A lot of people have been saying, do you really believe that those jurors are not going to look at shit? And I have kept saying yes, 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 because it would literally be breaking the law. And I think most people want to do the right thing. But at the same time, I don't know them. I don't know their motivation. I don't know what they think of as integrity. I don't know if there's somebody who thinks that a blonde white lady who they think is wealthy, a size 2, because that matters, and attractive, of course, because those things matter too. If you're not a size 2, if you're not blonde, if you're not somebody who's perceived as attractive, if you're not, this particular group, then you might not get the privilege of basically doing anything they can to find you innocent, which I just don't understand. Like, why would you want somebody who's that dangerous out on the streets? Wouldn't you want justice? But then, oh, right, double standard. So what's justice doesn't always look like justice to certain people. Certain people think justice means, oh, we get off. We always get free. We get away with murder. We want only certain people to get away with murder. Rest of y'all, fuck y'all. Just like Anthony Carmelo. You can see that line drawn. It's so obvious, and it's really sad. It's sad because what should be the case for every situation is everybody saying, I want to know the facts. How much melanin somebody has or doesn't have is not going to tell me facts unless you're a racist, stupid bigot. And then you live in this world of double standards. At least you probably have more than just 2 levels of standards, right? You probably live in a world where you've got one set of standards for a certain group of people, and then you've got different pockets of sets of standards for everybody else, and depending on where they fit in whatever you think, a hierarchy of your mind. So Anthony Carmelo, automatically for some people, he's guilty. He planned that shit. He's the worst of the worst. He's 17. Treat him like a grown-ass motherfucker. Karen Reed? Oh, I saw somebody say, oh, Daddy is so heartbroken about his little girl. I wrote, gross. She's a grown-ass fucking woman, a murderer, not a little girl. That's exactly what I'm talking about. A 40-something-year-old fucking drunk driving bitch. Little girl. It's disgusting. Fuck a white bitch. Fuck a racist bitch. Fuck a double standard bitch. Fuck somebody who they think that this woman deserves some extra special privilege. Why should she get extra special privilege? I hate to see her sad face. I hate to see her swallow hard, knowing that this is it. I was very disappointed that they didn't find her guilty, but then when I realized, oh, they only deliberated for an hour and 44 minutes, and again, like I said, after 2 months of being together, most juries like that, they will be friends forever, for life. They're bonded. And I could see, like I said, if they like each other, I could see them saying, let's take the weekend, think about it. And I could have even seen them saying, even if they believe she is guilty and they know she's going to go to prison, I could see them having a modicum of sympathy and saying, we are sending this woman to prison probably for 20 years at least, maybe at least for 15 on Monday. Let her go home for the weekend. Let her take a shit in her own bathroom and take a shower. Let her get her mind right, because come Monday, off she go. Or it could be the other thing, which I was concerned about, that there's going to be discord and dissent and disagreement. And it's not going to be an easy verdict, if any. So if Monday comes and goes and there's no verdict, that's when I'm going to really get worried. Hopefully, they just were like, let's just let her have her last weekend to be with her family and basically, you know, speak to her lawyers and do whatever it is that she might need to do to get her affairs in order. Because off you go. I've also thought that Thursday might be her last night of freedom, her last night to escape. Maybe they gave her this weekend so she could escape. Maybe she could get on that private jet plane, and go fly off to a non-extradition country. And then come Monday morning, they'll be like, where is she? I don't know. And then, you know, she gets off. But that's more like a Netflix show, not a reality. So most likely she will appear in court on Monday with the belief that she's going to get off, or she'll get another mistrial. That's most likely what she believes. That's what I think, is that she thinks she's going to get off. And maybe she will. And maybe come Monday, I'll be like, well, damn. I guess certain people really do just get away with murder, don't they? Especially when you're a size 0, blonde, rich bitch. A white one. This country sucks.
Damage. She openly questioned if she hit John O'Keefe. It seems logical that police would have looked at Karen Reed as a possible suspect. One of her taillights had fresh damage. She openly questioned if she hit John O'Keefe, and prosecutors say she left him a voicemail that night saying she hated him. Those are some of the facts being used against her, but Reed's parents and thousands supporting her say there's so much more to this story that doesn't add up. She's from Taunton with a career in finance. He was a Boston cop from Braintree.
I really don't want to be in the picture.
Get over here.
Karen Reed's parents say she and John O'Keefe became serious in 2019, right before the pandemic.
They just seem to be in a happy place, you know, yeah.
And spending a lot of time together?
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Vacations together.
Yep.
Going out together.
If the relationship had become toxic by January 2022, as prosecutors allege, It's not apparent from this snapshot in time. At C.F. McCarthy's in Canton, they laugh and embrace during a night of heavy drinking. According to police, Karen would back over John and leave him for dead in a snowstorm 2 hours later. Prosecutors say it happened outside the Canton home of another Boston cop named Brian Albert. Karen says she dropped John off there for a get-together.
During your first discussions with Karen, did she believe she may have hit John?
No. No. She felt she struck something. She said, Dad, I think I struck something. I said, what do you mean? Right? This was in the hospital. Right? She says, I remember, all right, backing up and hitting something.
Police find damage to the passenger side taillight of Karen's Lexus LX 570. How the damage occurred is in dispute. The Reeds believe it happened when Karen backed out of John O'Keefe's driveway hours after police say she hit him. Here's the video.
She backs up to go out and search for John O'Keefe. And that's how that vehicle was damaged.
In court documents, prosecutors say the video only shows Karen coming close to John's car, and no fragments or pieces of a broken taillight were discovered in John's driveway.
Look at it, frame by frame. And you tell me whether or not the O'Keefe vehicle
were discovered in John's driveway.
Look at it, frame by frame. And you tell me whether or not the O'Keefe
were discovered in John's driveway.
Look at it, frame by frame. You tell me.
Well, I see a cracked taillight here. It looks obvious. It's cracked. Look, you can see it right there. The white coming through the crack. That is a cracked taillight. Sorry, Karen. You did it.
Or not, the O'Keefe vehicle
were discovered in John's driveway.
Look at it, frame by frame. And you tell me whether or not.
Again, pausing and zooming in, there is the crack. You can see it despite the fact that it's filled in with snow a lot, and it's dark and blurry.
The O'Keefe vehicle.
Judson Welcher had also gone over this exact video. He made a 3D model. He proved beyond any reasonable doubt that there was no way that she hit his vehicle at her taillight. And in fact, if they had bumped, it would have been way lower.
Required to see counsel.
And another view of Karen and her lawyers, John's family, as they walk by. His mom, look at her. She is having a really hard time with this. There's Paul, his brother, right behind her mom. They're all having a really hard time with this, and I think it's so heartbreaking they have to go through this again.
May I? Yes.
Could the juror sitting in seat number 13 step down and take your place as an alternate? Could the juror sitting in seat number 7 step down and take your place as an alternate? Juror 6, could you step down and take your place as an alternate? Juror 17, could you step down and take your place as an alternate? Juror 2, could you step down and take your place as an alternate? And Juror 8, could you step down and take your place as an alternate?
All right. Yes, please do.
Could I have the court officers raise your right hands? Do you swear that you will keep this jury in alternates in some separate but convenient place until they agree that you not suffer any person to speak to them, and to speak to them yourselves, nor ask them if they agree, nor suffer them to disperse until they are discharged of their verdict, except by further order of the court, so help you God? Thank you.
All right, so members of the jury, I need not remind you that you have an important responsibility, but I believe that you will bring to bear all the wisdom and the judgment and conscience that you possess in reaching your verdict in this case. All that we can expect from you is that you decide the case with integrity and with principle. We all expect you to reach an impartial verdict dictated by your logic, without bias, without prejudice or sympathy, and not prompted by any facts except those that you've heard here in court during the trial. We are looking for impartial judgment dictated by your reasoning and the fullest discharge of your oaths as jurors. You may retire and deliberate your verdict.
Make sure you take your notebooks with you, please.
I'm going to see counsel one more time. That it's not what you provided me yesterday, Mr. Kennedy.
Now the jury's already been deliberating for a couple of minutes, and then she gets so mad at this jury verdict form, and I just thought it was really interesting to watch how pissed she is. The jury can't see her, but we can, and we get a glimpse of her demeanor. Yeah, this is about her life, but it's just a matter of how she carries herself and her gestures, which to me is a clue into her personality and how she handles things when she's stressed and angry and maybe not going to get her way.
Counsel, you can keep doing that. Mr. Rose, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that you will keep that jury in some separate but convenient place until they agree, and that you not suffer any person to speak to them yourselves, nor ask them if they agree, nor suffer them to disperse them, to charge their verdict, except by further order of the court, so help you God? Simply because you weren't in the room. Thank you. Is the Commonwealth content with the verdict slip?
Commonwealth's content. So, Your Honor, I understand that you've rejected our proposed verdict slip.
So everybody else can sit down. Mr. Yannetti can stand.
Thank you. I understand that you've rejected our proposed verdict slip. Our concern with this verdict slip is that there are 4 options for, actually more than that, 7 options for guilty verdicts, 1 option for not guilty. And we're concerned that this is too confusing for the jury. So we are asking that there be not guilty options for each of the charges, including the offense charged and each one of the lesser included offenses. We really ran into the same issue last time. I think what complicates it is the fact that there are two theories for two of the lesser included.
Do you suggest that doesn't accurately reflect the law?
It does reflect the law. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it makes things very confusing, and that's why we believe that it cries out for some not guilty option, given the amount of options for convictions on this verdict slip. So we would again ask the court to adopt our proposed verdict slip.
So your proposed verdict slip did not cite any case law. Do you have any case law that supports that proposition, Mr. Yannetti? I have not found any. I've looked.
There's not a lot of case law out there even to support this verdict slip either.
Other than that has never been proven, has never been found to be inaccurate.
Not yet.
Okay.
And I mean that
So
with all respect.
that's fine. So your rights are reserved. Does that help you?
Right. Well, all we can do is object, Judge, and you make,
Okay.
you make the decision.
Okay.
Judge, the last couple.
If you find authority for that, let me know.
We'll do.
Okay.
The last couple of things, judges, that we were provided with a clean
Laptop?
computer laptop. Thanks. We were, with a clean laptop. Defense counsel had a chance to, or at least defense had a chance to look at it, and I think that's fine. But
All right. So we'll send that in with the exhibits. I need to go edit my charge to fix all the typos.
and then the final thing is I provided counsel with the exhibit list that we had, and it was satisfactory for both sides.
Great.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
All rise for the court, please.
All right, jurors. I understand you want to go home. It's been a long day for us. We appreciate everything you've done today. I do have to tell you those same cautions. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about the case, please disregard it and let us know. Do not talk to anyone, and that includes each other. So when you walk out the deliberation door, you have to stop talking about this case. Even when you come into the courtroom, don't mutter anything to each other, certainly not on the ride or anything like that. So it's very important that you remember that. And you cannot, even if you get here before you're called into court on Monday, you can't discuss the case then either. And that goes for the alternates as well. So we really appreciate that. Watch your social media use and the papers and the news. Stay away from all of that if you can this weekend. We'll see you Monday morning ready to start out fresh. Thank you.
Rise for the jury.
All right, well, I hope everyone has a good weekend with no work.
Thank you.
All right.
And then this is a little video of the jurors outside during the deliberation. Her fans. The FKR fuckers.
And I I don't agree.
Refund.
Cost money tonight.
I have an opportunity to watch it. Right. So it's regarding refund. You want a refund.